Good afternoon. Welcome to the first day of IAA. Fantastic to be here. I have the opportunity to share with all of you a partnership that we've been working on for the last 3.5 years. And it's just been outstanding to be part of BMW's Neue Klasse launch with our autonomous driving stack. You know, Qualcomm has been in the automotive business for 20 years now. And we have become relevant as a technology company, as a semiconductor supplier, as somebody that does a tremendous amount of software across connectivity, across infotainment, across ADAS. We went on to the journey of getting into the ADAS stack business about 3.5 years ago. And I'm going to share with you today the journey that we've been on, what we have learned alongside one of our very important partners. The shared mission that we had as we took on this opportunity to get into the autonomous driving stack was technology is becoming part and parcel of every car. Sensors, today if you look at IAA, this is something that is commonplace. But if you went back 5 years ago, this concept of will cars be safe, will they drive autonomously, will they reduce collisions, it was a really important aspect that Qualcomm believed in. And we decided this is something that we would take seriously. Being a new business, apart from being able to build the right kind of technology, acquire the right kind of talent, we also had to partner with the right kind of company. And who better to partner with than an OEM that is known globally for the highest standards of safety, for focusing on their consumers, for being able to stand behind something that is really complicated in today's day and age. The partnership that we built started off in 2021, and consistently over the years, we started to take assets that we were building alongside BMW with the ultimate goal of having a stack that we would supply into BMW vehicles, but also have access to the same technology to scale up to the rest of the ecosystem. And this part is really important. The stack that we have built will be deployed in 60 countries this year, moving over to 100 countries next year. So if you think about what that means at scale, that's what we are starting to go build. The companies are obviously very different. Our roots are in semiconductors. We've been doing automotive for a long time. We do a tremendous amount of software, hardware, integration, systems engineering, supporting our customers globally. And about a decade or so ago, it became really clear to us that semiconductors in cars needed to not just be automotive quality, but automotive safety quality. And this is something coming from a tech space. What this means is every single aspect of what we build has to be built with safety in mind. And that's the approach that we took. That's the commitment that we made to ourselves and to our customers. Alongside that, what became very clear is that everything that we would develop, whether it's camera technology, whether it's the operating systems that we use, the traceability that we have to be able to provide, needed to keep in mind that this would need to work globally. It would need to pass regulation. It would need to be something that I would feel comfortable buying for my family and put my family members in. So the bar for us was really high. The partnership with BMW became really important because we had to work with someone that had a very long history in automotive safety, had built a tremendous amount of not just hardware systems, but software systems in-house, had the track record of continuously moving the needle at a global scale, and frankly, most importantly, where we could learn from tremendously. And the Neue Klasse, which my colleague will talk about very soon, is an epitome, is an example of what it means to be able to bring all of these capabilities together. This has been a complicated partnership. It's a high-scale partnership, 1,400 engineers working across 3 different continents, so that we have coverage across all time zones. We have engineers in the US, we have engineers here in Munich, in Unterschleißheim, in Romania, we have engineers in Korea, in Sweden, supporting and building this platform together. And it wasn't just BMW and Qualcomm pulling this together. We had a variety of different, very important partners. Valeo has been our very important tier 1 partner. AWS has been a very important hyperscaler partner. We have worked with a variety of sensor partners who've helped us pull this off. We've worked with companies that helped us with data collection, with annotation. the whole gamut. And as all of you know, automotive projects are not simple projects. If you have to scale something at a multi-country footprint, it requires everybody to be highly coordinated, and that's what we were able to pull off. The other aspect that we spent a lot of time on was safety. And this is where we learned tremendously. For us to be able to build safety at the silicon level is one thing, but when you're developing a software stack that actually has to get deployed globally, that has to be safe, where you can actually not just keep up with safety regulations, but keep them updated. Every country has their own regulations. You will hear as Mihiar and I talk about what the complexity is. Safety means you have to be able to convince the regulator that you have traceability for every single possible scenario. These are complicated regulatory requirements, and this is something that we are very proud that we were able to pull together in this very short period of time. The scale of this deployment is really important. When we started off on this journey, I'll be frank, the idea of actually collecting data across 60 countries, expanding to 100 countries, was something that we were obviously familiar with. But what it takes is just something that is an enormous amount of effort. We have now collected over 1 million kilometers of data in 3.5 years. So if you rewind time a little bit and go back to 2021, where we decided that we would get into this partnership, we made the acquisition of Arriver, which was a stack company inside Veoneer. We pulled them together with the Qualcomm team, formed this team of about 1,000 people, found a partnership with BMW, aimed at reaching our goal in SOP 25 with a brand new car platform, the Neue Klasse, collected all of this data, and delivered this end-to-end platform. We could not be more proud of what we've been able to go pull together. And this engine is a data engine. This is the data flywheel. We keep collecting data. We keep improving the underlying stack. Most importantly, we are improving it at global scale. And all of this culminates in what we call the Snapdragon Ride Pilot, which is basically a combination of the Snapdragon Ride SoCs, which have been around now for multiple years. These are deployed all over the world. They're deployed in Europe, in the US, in China. We have been working with a variety of different partners, but now and going forward, we will actually have our L2 Plus highway and urban NOS stack deployed in partnership with BMW. This comes available with a variety of different sensor configurations, but most importantly, this is the stack that we make available to every OEM and every tier one. And I could not be more proud of introducing my colleague, Mihiar Ayoubi, who has been my partner over the last 3.5 years. But before I bring him on, let's play a video introducing the Neue Klasse.
Es ist schon bemerkenswert, wie schnell man sich wohlfühlt in dem Auto, wie sicher es sich anfühlt.
Smart. Driving fine.
Also ich fühle mich jetzt sehr entspannt, wenn wir hier fahren.
Tatsächlich ist mein absolutes Highlight, wie smooth dieses Fahrzeug zum Stillstand gebracht werden kann.
Sag mir, wann wir im Stillstand sind.
Jetzt.
Bestimmt schon nur 2 Sekunden.
Ja. Hauptaugenmerk liegt daran, dass der Mensch mit der Maschine zusammenwächst und die Assistenzsysteme nicht unterbrochen werden durch Lenk-, Brems- und Gasgebeingriffe.
Autos fahren weg. Erst wenn du wieder nach vorne schaust.
Ach, wie geil, Mann.
Unsere Reise halt auch los.
Compliant for sure, safe, impressive, and could be the EV that really changes a lot of people's minds that they need to get an EV for sure.
Allein schon die Assistenzsysteme für Vielfahrer wie mich sind ein absoluter Kaufgrund.
Miracle of engineering.
Also fett, fett, fett Daumen nach oben dafür.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very big round of applause for Mihiar Ayoubi. First of all, Mihiar, congratulations. This has been exceptional. I think maybe where we should start off with is, what does Neue Klasse mean to BMW?
Neue Klasse. Actually, if I try to summarize what the Neue Klasse, the role of the Neue Klasse for BMW, it marks a unique day, a unique year in the history of BMW. Because the engineers of BMW reinvented the car, and you have to imagine that the biggest dream of every engineer to start from scratch, to start on a white paper, and we had it. We had an entirely new body in white platform. We had an entirely new electric backbone, also a functional architecture. And we had an entirely new software architecture for the car, including 4 superbrains. One of them is our superbrain for ADAS, including all functionalities in one, delivering this experience you've seen on the media now.
I think one of the things that people don't realize as they start to think about this kind of technology, because there is so much of conversation around autonomous driving and ADAS. As somebody who's been in the business of building cars for such a long time, what are the standards that you hold yourself to, your team to, in terms of what does it take to build something of this complexity to scale up at this scale?
Actually, we start based on 3 pillars. The most important pillar is responsibility. ADAS has experienced the hype of technologies, introducing innovative technologies, trying to be cutting-edge applicator. Nevertheless, at the end of the day, this is a product which scales over customers, over models, over markets, over kilometers. And you need to deliver not only a unique driving experience, you also need to take your responsibility towards the driver and the environment itself. And this is actually at the heart of BMW's philosophy. Deliver a functionality which ensures safety. Because once you introduce ADAS to the customers, you are increasing and enhancing comfort. At the same time, you are allowing distraction to come into the car. And here you need to find your way to release and give an ease feeling to the customer, nevertheless keep him in the loop to avoid unnecessary situations.
One of our realizations as we entered this partnership was if you break this down into the specific building blocks, we worked on computer vision together. You have to drive miles, you have to collect the data, you have to build the foundation. We developed the drive policy stack together. And those are features that you have to be able to make sure you can develop for the behavior of the car. But it really comes together with the customer functions. It really comes together when you have to be able to pull together the experience for what you want the consumer to take away. I think like you said very well, it's the comfort that you're introducing, the confidence that you're introducing to the customer. How does BMW think about that responsibility almost? Because it is really taking very difficult technology and then interpreting what the technology means when you have to make it available to a consumer to consume in a safe way.
Yeah. As we started, we asked ourselves, what's the BMW driving experience? So if you drive your car, it's clear, it's very simple to answer what's BMW. You simply experience the car. But what's the driving experience when you are driven? And as long as we are talking about level 2 and level 2 plus functionalities, it's clearly that the responsibility of driving is with the driver himself. And this is the reason now we started to rethink the interaction between the driver and the car. And we found out that the best way to involve the driver is to create a kind of symbiotic relation between the car and the driver himself. To allow the driver to be also on command, even though the ADAS systems are supporting. At the moment, in other products, you have either you are driving yourself or the other systems are driving. But this co-driving is the kind of symbiotic where we're also making use of other technologies on board. So for instance, I mentioned we have 4 superbrains. One of those superbrains is called Heart of Joy, responsible for dynamics. And the superbrain of ADAS is always communicating with the superbrain of Heart of Joy to deliver a seamless, enjoyable experience. This is exactly what we call symbiotic drive.
I think our learning as a company that is not just investing in autonomous driving, but rapidly understanding what the state of the art is, what type of effort it takes. One thing that I think has become very clear, because we see so many different stacks that are out there, is that there is a process that is involved in doing this development. Because this development isn't for a demo, it's not for a drive that you can see. It's for a product that you are buying. It's for a product that you will trust your family's safety in. And it really has to be a system that is working continuously. And from that perspective, I think the partnership that we have been very thankful and very grateful to have with BMW is one where, being a technology company, the bar that we hold ourselves to is very high. And when you get into this business, you have to be associated with people that will tell you this is the bar. What would be your advice to a lot of people that are trying to get into this business? And of course, there is the technology, but then there is also the product. As you look around, as you see the complexity that we are in, how do you, as an executive who's been in this business for a long time, what's your view on the space?
The most important thing, I guess, is sharing the same attitudes in professionalism. So when partnering is on the agenda, you need to be sure that both parties have complementary skills, share the same attitude and mindset on values we represent, just like quality, just on being on time. And it's needless to say that the partner should be one of the best working with processes and tools and products. And I think Qualcomm was the best partner we could find to enter this partnership to deliver, after 3 years, such a huge leap forward. This is actually the summary of those 3 to 4 years from my point of view.
One thing that you shared with me recently was that BMW accomplished the DCAS certification. Please share with the audience what that means and the importance of a certification like that, and how much preparation has to go in to be able to get to that milestone. I believe BMW is one of the few companies that has that certification.
With pleasure. First of all, I need to explain what's DCAS. DCAS, Driving Control Assistance Systems, which is the new standard to approve a stack in the UN countries, ECE countries. So it's all about fulfilling 4 presumptions. The first, for sure, to obey all traffic rules. The second one is to avoid distraction while driving the car. Even you are supporting the driver to have the best comfort experience. Third one, which is the most important one, is to ensure and prove controllability of the car, which means for this unwished situation, for this unwished second where a system might have a failure, the customer behind the steering wheel should always be able to get the car under control. And you need to prove that. You need to convince all authorities via simulations, via driving use cases that it's insured. And the fourth pillar of DCAS is to ensure that your system is reproducing its behavior. And this is an issue if you have a kind of data-driven AI approach only. It's a black box. you can't ensure that the system will react at the same way again. This is the reason why we agreed on having a hybrid stack, combining the cutting edge and the benefits of data-driven systems with the physical implementing and modeling, giving a kind of a white box programming to the stack. And this gave us the result, and we are proud about that, to be the first stack approved according to DCAS. And this is a unique point to us. We should be very happy about that.
We are very proud of being able to not just have responsible safety, but for us to be able to get the certification, the qualification that we have met this standard. You know, I think the other question that I have for you is around partnerships. I've been in the automotive business for not as long as you, but I've had the good fortune of working across a very wide range of partners. And one thing that is becoming more and more complex is to predict the future, right? I think the rate at which things are changing, it gets harder and harder. And the approach that we take is you have to have a common mission, similar to what we decided we would need to have as we got into this partnership. You have to have the right chemistry between the people that have to work with each other. And ultimately, you really have to sit in the shoes of your partner to understand what to go do. And I think from that perspective, I feel like what we've been able to accomplish, and I'm sharing, this is not so much a question, it's maybe my learnings from the partnership that we have built. We've actually become much stronger in terms of understanding what does it actually take to be able to make these things real. Because you have the idea of what it takes, and then the reality of this is what it is actually going to take to scale. As you start to think about partnerships in this complex world of automotive, how do you look at, how do you deal with North America, Europe, China? How do you deal with things that are a must-have, where you are willing to go try something new? What's the thought process that goes on? And I think it's probably for the audience, just to understand what's the level of complexity that we are in, and how do you deal with that level of complexity?
You're mentioning two different dimensions. I'll start with the first dimension, cooperation. I think, having said that we need to have complementary skills, it also implies you have different cultures. Not only the soft skills, just like the cultural mind and languages, and as you mentioned, cross-functional development over the world. You really need to have a common target and to believe in this target in order to overcome every obstacle which you have every day. Once teams are working in a professional way, they always find a constructive way to reach the target, because you have a time schedule and you need to keep all milestones to deliver on time. And as Qualcomm and BMW started, there are two entities, semiconductor and automotive engineering, coming together, different languages, different processes, different tools. And it was amazing how fast we converged to the same solution, dealing with different languages, different processes, different tools. It was absolutely important. And talking about prediction of the future is quite difficult at the moment, because I made my PhD in 1995 in artificial intelligence. At that time, I never expected to have artificial intelligence at the stage of today, 30 years ago. So now, combining the pace of how technology is evolving compared to the new needs of new markets, just like China, makes prediction quite challenging. I give you one sample. In China, customers are quite innovative. They are willing to experiment, to play with technology, and they are forgiving some mistakes, probably. This is not the case in Europe. This is not the case in the US. If you make a small mistake, you have a recall. So you need to be responsible. You need to be sure about what you're doing. Nevertheless, BMW is customer centralized and we are customer oriented, which means we need now to translate our technology to the needs of the local market. Regardless the other conditions, just like resilience at the moment in China. So this makes now things evolving very fast. Whilst we're talking, things are evolving, apparently, yes.
Well, I think for us, we've been waiting for this launch for a long time, very patiently, because what I think we are realizing is that what we have built actually has the confidence of the entire ecosystem. If you drive the vehicle, and I encourage all of you to take the opportunity to drive the iX3, it has the confidence of what a consumer might expect from technology at this scale. And I'm very excited to go to other customers and explain to them why they should perhaps look at this a bit more seriously than the paths that they've been on. They'll just get to their destination much faster. So, Mihiar, thank you very much. We really are very grateful. We are in a privileged position to be able to call BMW a partner, and we could not be more thankful to be part of the Neue Klasse platform. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nakul, for a very fruitful cooperation and perfect result. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.